A few years back, some researchers did some analysis, and they discovered that you can use accounting information to predict bankruptcy. And they came up with something called Altman Z-score. And basically what you could do is you can plug accounting numbers into the Z-score and predict bankruptcy. So here's the formula. Basically, it's based on 5 ratios. And if you plug these ratios, you can imagine how they figured this out. It was based on a regression. And what you would do is you would plug these ratios into the formula for any specific company and get a Z-score. And then the lower the Z-score, the more likely that the company is going to go bankrupt. So here are some of the interpretations that if you have a Z-score below 1.8, you're in trouble. Like, you might as well work on your resume and get onto LinkedIn, call some headhunters, and see what jobs you can find. If you're between 1.8 and 3, that means there's a risk of bankruptcy. It means you should work on your resume. I'm joking around, but the truth is that this is healthy for any kind of investment. You want to look at your investment Z-score, because if you have a company that's likely to go bankrupt, you know, that stock had better be really cheap. So Z-score above 3 is the healthy range. And here you can see Home Depot's numbers being plugged into it. This example's in the book. And Home Depot has a Z-score of 6.72, meaning that this company is very healthy. There's almost no chance of bankruptcy anytime soon. Now, we do have what we call type 1 and type 2 errors. Type 1 error would be a false negative. In other words, the Z-score says that they're healthy and then they go bankrupt. Or you could have a type 2 error where the Z-score says that they're going to go bankrupt, but they don't, and then they disappoint you. So that's always possible, and the Z-score isn't 100% accurate. And again, what you always want to do is you want to understand the financial statements. You never want to put numbers blindly into a spreadsheet and then say, oh, gee, this company's going bankrupt. But rather, you want to look very closely at what the numbers mean and understand the company. And a lot of times you can make adjustments to the numbers based on your understandings so you can get a more refined analysis. So there's nothing wrong with changing these numbers a little bit if you think that they need to be adjusted. If something unusual is going on, let's say a company is spinning off a division, take all those pieces of the division out of the balance sheet and then see what happens. Now, I thought this was just pretty interesting, how S&P versus Moody's compute credit risk. And you can see here that S&P tends to take a very quantitative approach, measuring things like profitability, capital structure, financial flexibility, financial risk, and so on, but also looking at some management issues when they're determining credit risk. Moody's bases only 4-factor analysis, what's called financial strength, which is going to be financial, size, scale, and diversification, some of which is qualitative and some of which is quantitative, financial policies, and product portfolio and profitability. So these are the two systems that Moody's versus S&P uses. They're highly proprietary. So it's not like you could just Google on the web how Moody's gives out their ratings and then just plug any company into it. It's highly proprietary and very subjective.